M&T Bank presents Montgomery Community Media's Small Business Network. SBN is also sponsored by Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation and Leadership Montgomery.
Hello and welcome to Montgomery Community Media's Small Business Network at Home Edition. I'm your host, Kelly Leonard. Thank you for joining us online today. Joining us also online to discuss part 2 of Small Businesses' Economic Road to Recovery are Anna Behnam, Jane Redicker, and Ken White. Anna is board chair of Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce. Jane is president and CEO of the Greater Silver Spring Chamber of Commerce. And Ken serves as board chair for the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we're going to start this off. Jane, why don't I ask you, how has your organization pivoted to better serve its members and the small business community at large, considering the pandemic?
Well, first, Kelly, thank you for asking us to join you. It's a pleasure to be here today. We pivoted greatly. All chambers are all about networking and providing business connections and advocacy primarily, and then also becoming a trusted source of information. And I think our pivot was really to become more that trusted source and that advocacy piece when the pandemic hit. You know, we all learned how to use Zoom. We all learned how to do everything virtually. And I think all of us felt like when the first direction came out and then the first information about small business programs, loan programs, grant programs, everybody was drinking from a fire hose. And we thought that our job was to gather all that information, interpret it, and put it into digestible information so that our members could actually use it and take advantage of it. So that was kind of our first priority, was just get all this information together and get it into a form that we could get it to our members so that they could understand it. And then secondly, we really became a source not only for our members, but also for any business in Silver Spring. We looked at our role as just saving the business community in Silver Spring, and I know my colleagues in the other chambers did too. So we did a lot more joint programs. I know we did programs with the Greater Bethesda Chamber and Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber for all businesses who wanted to sign on about the PPP, about how to get access to all these programs. So it was a quick pivot, but I think we looked at our role mostly as how can we support all of our businesses, our small businesses, and how can we support the economies of our community, because this was unprecedented. And they needed our help, and we had access to a lot of information, so we were able to really quickly pivot and become that resource and learn everything very quickly. And I know our phone rang. I probably took hundreds of calls a day from both members and non-members saying, which program should I apply for? How do I apply for it? What's out there for me? What do I do? So it was, but it was really, it was great. And I know that we did a lot with our colleagues. And I know with my colleague, Jeanette, and I know Anna's here this morning, we did a lot of programs together. And I know Anna knows a lot about those too.
Yeah, and on that note, I guess, Anna, you are in a unique position because you not only serve as board chair, but then you're also a member, of course, of the chamber. So as a member organization, how has the pivot worked for you as a member, but then also how has it felt as a part of the chamber leadership?
You know, it's kind of hard to separate those two because we're just in it. You know, as a member, it's nice to know that I can turn on a website and we created one single page where our members can go and get resources. We also, as Jane said, we put on a lot of seminars and workshops that just were there for whoever wanted to join. We were not charging any fees for them. And the idea was to get information out. So as a member, I actually learned about the PPP program, what loans are available, how to apply with the SBA. And while all those things are they make sense as a business owner, when you're in that situation where, you know, you've got kids that are now home, the spouses are home, my office is closed. It was nice to just have sort of a calmness that you can turn to and get the information. As the board chair, as I'm sure Ken and Jane will agree, it was crazy time. It was just late hours of just trying to figure out, okay, how do we meet the need today? How do we switch? What is this Zoom thing everybody's talking about? I mean, I remember the first time somebody said Zoom. How do we sign up? So it was a lot of after hours to just figure out how do we wake up tomorrow and give our members a little bit of comfort and confidence in that we're here for them. We'll do what we can. We also changed a lot of our programs around where before it was just networking. No, now it's networking with how to get business, how to apply for a loan. So we did a lot of pivoting. It's definitely been challenging, but I have to say we've learned a great deal this year. A lot of experience gained.
Awesome. And Ken, I know because being a member of the Maryland Black Chamber myself, I know a big pivot for the Chamber was pivoting from in-person to virtual, the annual, sort of celebration and recognition. Tell us about how you supported the members in that regard.
Well, it was a big change. I became the board chairman in November and had all these great plans for all these wonderful events that we're going to do for the upcoming year. And then as soon as I got in my groove, the pandemic came and we had to shut down everything. And we have some millennials on our board, so they've been talking about this whole Zoom and virtual events for like a year. I'm a baby boomer, so I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to actually dial in for a virtual meeting. And so all of a sudden, overnight, this is our new normal. We're doing seminars. As you know, we just did our annual meeting, a big production with a marketing company navigating us through the process. So it's been quite a change. We are an all-volunteer organization, so we didn't have someone dedicated full-time to navigating us through. So as we were business owners and professionals trying to navigate our own businesses and such through, we were then trying to navigate through the members of our chamber, and again doing seminars, PPP, access to capital, health and wealth management. Became really key. And one thing too was our model was never to, we did key staple events, but now things are happening fast. So we had to change the way we operate to get information out quickly. So, we did like 3 or 4 major events, and that was our year. Now we're getting PPP and MOCO grants and EIDL loans and things were coming out, and they're coming out quickly. So they're coming out like on a Thursday with deadlines on next Tuesday. So we had to really figure out how to facilitate getting this information out and getting it out like post haste. So it was a big change, but we made it through.
Yeah,
Kelly, I think that if I can interject, Anna said something really important. We learned a lot. We learned a lot through this. And one of the other things we learned is being also a baby boomer, we never thought this virtual thing would work. I know we had talked about in the past, maybe trying to do virtual meetings and trying to allow people to dial into meetings. And we thought, oh, well, nobody will ever come and it won't work, but it actually does. And what we found and learned is that for a lot of our business people, because they are so busy running their businesses, this virtual thing has been it's been a godsend. Because people can take a break, sign into a meeting, sign in to get the information they need and go about their day and do their business. And I think particularly for our small businesses that the other thing we had to do was make sure that they were all connected and that they had access to everything. That was sometimes a challenge, but now it's just kind of become a norm. And so our attendance at meetings and our ability to reach out to people is much more effective and much more efficient. Because that's maybe a bright spot that's come out of this whole pandemic that we've been struggling through for the past several months.
Yeah, we've definitely all been forced to build new muscles, right? And so along those lines, what are some of the key things that you've seen, Jane, some of the small business members that you have seen them do that have helped them to recover, to set themselves up for success, or to just simply thrive in the pandemic?
Well, I think there were certain of our members, certain kinds of businesses that are thriving and they grabbed on early. And these would be our tech businesses, our IT businesses, our telecom businesses. They grabbed onto the opportunities early and took advantage of them and reached out and found new customers and found ways to help people initially. And I think the other members who were able to be flexible and were able to, stop for a minute and kind of not panic, but realize, okay, maybe this is a new normal, we don't know, but let's look for new ways. And we've had our sign companies, for example, a lot of them are really doing very well. They were very much scared at first, but a couple of them started to realize that some of the businesses needed signage originally and they couldn't pay for it right away because they didn't have any customers. So they were able to come up with some pretty inexpensive, I know one of our companies came up with some pretty inexpensive ways for people to say, we're open for business, please come in, or we're open for carry out. And through that, they were able to build a business later and then pivot to also find some of the other PPP so that they could become a one-stop shop. So I think that part of it was flexibility. Part of it was just resilience. One of the things I've learned about a lot of our members is just how resilient some of these business owners are. I mean, running a chamber is like running a business, but at the same time, it's not, because it's not mine. It's not my livelihood. And so to watch I have so much pride and so much respect for so many of our business owners because of what they do every day and of how there's the struggles, but the resilience that they've shown and the ability to just look at a situation and say, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What do I need to learn? And where can I find the information? And I think that's kind of been the secret. It's been their ability to be flexible and then to just plod on and move on and go and push.
Yeah, now, and Ken, I'd imagine that particularly given your professional role at Sandy Spring Bank, you've probably seen small business need to pivot in different ways as well, and or ways that they've had to set themselves up for success in order to thrive. What are some of the things that perhaps you've seen from that side?
Well, I think Jane was head on. Flexibility. Those who were able to quickly rebound, to repurpose their services, reinvent their product or services. So, to be an entrepreneur, it takes a special kind of person to be an entrepreneur. And what you found in this experience, the true entrepreneurs figured out a way to keep the doors open and keep things moving. And that was just really key. It's just amazing to me how many businesses did flourish. Some of my businesses are doing better today than they were pre-pandemic. And that's just because they had to think outside the box. They were getting comfortable in what they were doing day to day, and now they had to get their hustle on. So it's been really amazing. The theme of our annual meeting was resilience, and the community has really demonstrated great resilience.
Well, now let's sort of switch topics a bit and talk about access to capital, because to you all's point, a number of organizations are thriving and or are growing, but perhaps they need a little additional help in order to continue in that vein. So tell us about access to capital. Where is it, and how do small businesses really prepare themselves to get it? Because I will say this, so one of the things that I've noticed that the pandemic has also, because of all these different programs, the grant and PPP programs that are out there, it's forced a lot of organizations to sort of slow down and get ready, get their house in order, get their paperwork, all that good stuff. So I'd imagine they're in a really great place to continue because they have been in this mindset of preparation and pulling documents together. Where can folks get access to get additional capital in order to continue growing their businesses? And I'll open that up to anyone to answer that question.
Well, first off, I'll say the biggest lesson learned for a lot of businesses during the pandemic was they did not have their house in order. So when funding came available, and EIDL and PPP, and we thought they were going to run out of money within a couple of days, a lot of businesses did not have their financial statements ready. They didn't have their year-end numbers ready. A lot of businesses up until that point, their accountant automatically did extensions. They get their paperwork together during the summer. And so they were struggling. So when the first round of PPP came out and a lot of the grants programs came out, they didn't have a balance sheet. They didn't have an income statement. So biggest lesson learned, I think, for everyone was have your financial house in order. Access to capital has always been plentiful, but to a degree, but you have to be prepared. So you have to have your banker on one hand, have your accountant on the other hand. I asked a lot of people during this process, did your banker answer the phone when you called them? because a lot of people didn't have anybody to reach out to get them through this process. You know, they didn't know about PPP or how to process PPP. And some people didn't have anyone to pick up the phone and call to figure out how to get this done. Some people didn't have their accountant on hand, you know, to call and say, you know, I need to get my balance sheet or my income statement ready, you know, and I need to get it in. My banker said they're going to run out of money by Tuesday. So that was really key. So there's all, you know, I'm a banker, and so there's always bank traditional conventional programming and federal funding like SBA and state funding like Bethesda and county programs, and the EDC has funds, and there's always funds out there. Key things are, do people know about it? And are they prepared to access it? So that's one of the key things that we've been trying to do. So we've had several seminars on access to capital and the real talk about access to capital. What does it really take to get capital? Do you know what debt coverage is? Do you know what loan to value is? Do you know what programs are out there? So educating the community is key. And a lot of people learned a lot about what's out there during this pandemic, because people didn't know that they were scraping, they were making phone calls and trying to figure out what other avenues are out there for me because I'm struggling. And so access capital is plentiful, but you really do have to be prepared for it. I think people really learned that lesson this go around, that next time there's an opportunity for me, I need to be ready to seize that opportunity.
Yeah, you know, there was so much in what you just shared, Ken, because it's also not only the preparation, but it's also, you've got to look at who's on your team, right? I think so many people, you know, entrepreneurship in particular and small business can be a very lonely place. And I think what we found is a number of things. You know, isolation is not healthy. And not having the right players on your team is really, it's critically important that you have things like a really strong banking relationship, that you have a strong accountant, a CPA, a tax preparer, all these different, you know, individuals who are really going to help ensure and set you up for success, having an attorney on your team. So thanks for that. Jane, did you want to add something, I think?
Well, I think, you know, Ken talked about being prepared, and there was the other thing that we saw in a lot of folks applying for the county loan and the state aid. They didn't know whether they were in good standing with the state. I mean, it was a simple thing, and it's not hard to do, but it's a simple thing that if you don't know that, and you're right. I mean, if you don't have an accountant, if you don't have an attorney, and I think a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs start out just thinking, okay, I've got to do this on my own. I can't afford to have all these other people, but you have to. And I think one of the things, Ken, you pointed out, that banking relationship, that good banking relationship is really, really critical, because we had several members call us and they say, I can't get to my own bank. You know, this is my bank. I can't get to them. I can't get them to answer the phone. I can't get a PPP. So they were going out into the broader market, the FINRA market, to try to find somewhere to get a PPP. So those relationships are really, really critical, particularly for a small business.
I agree. And I think that's part of, I'm sorry, Kelly, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, Anna.
I think that's part of where I felt comfortable having an association like the Chamber, where all that information kind of comes together. You know, Ken, your bank is kind of near and dear to my heart, because when I was doing some of this, I was with a much larger, you know, national bank. And I just found that through my Chamber connections, I was able to learn a little bit more. I was able to go to Sandy Spring. I was able to, you know, so I think if there's anything that I've learned, and don't tell my husband I'm saying this, is I need to be organized, right? Because he tells me this all the time. But like having all my financials in order, knowing what I'm getting from where. And then I think really having that list of people who you call. I'm a financial planner by trade. And I always tell my clients, give me a call and I'll direct you. And I do it for all my clients. I just didn't do it for myself. Mm-hmm. You know, so now I literally have my list of who to call and ask a question. And maybe Ken doesn't have the answer, but he can say, hey, call Jane. She'll help you with this. And I think that's really important, because the panic is what puts us all in freeze mode. So if you just have the information and you have the steps that you need to follow, then I think you'll be able to take action and hopefully survive.
And Anna's right. That's a function that a chamber can really do, because we did a lot of that. I didn't have the answers to all the questions people asked, but I did know where to send them. I did know who to tell them to call.
Exactly.
And having the association and having all of our members and having people in so many different realms of the business community, and then people with a lot of experience or no experience, it was really easy for me to make referrals for people throughout the whole course of this.
Yeah, and Anna, if I can just reflect on that too. Yeah, so really quick spoiler alert, as seen on SBN, so you're not going to be able to keep that secret from your husband when the video is broadcast. But also, that is such a great point, what you made about leveraging the chamber relationships. And the other thing is to not wait until a pandemic to build relationships outside of your chamber, right? So many people, when you look at your year-end expenses and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I renew or not? Particularly, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking at their budget, their year-end expenses, and they're going to start asking themselves, well, what should I renew? And, certainly the chamber membership is one of the things that you should renew, but don't just renew it and be a member and sort of be a wallflower. It's like you want to actually build relationship with this dynamic community of the chamber leadership, your fellow chamber members, so that if, God forbid, you ever need support in some way or shape or form, your first call is not going to be a call for help. It's going to be, a call for getting to know one another, so that when you do need help, you've already sort of deposited positively into that relationship building. And so you've got, you have the ability to make withdrawals, so to speak, from that relationship, because you've deposited so much in, just connecting and getting to know the larger chamber community. So thanks for adding that. Another thing that I want to touch on is just contracting opportunities. I'm sure there's tons of opportunities out there. I know oftentimes we look at the glass as being half empty, but I like to say the glass is, there's always opportunity that's out there. So can one of you sort of share for you, where are the contracting opportunities and how do folks even get prepared to win those opportunities as they're presented as well?
Well, I'll jump in here, because one of the things that we did along with our colleagues at some of the other chambers is we just recently held a webinar, and it's available online for anybody to look at, but a webinar with Judy Stevenson, who's the small business navigator for Montgomery County government. And she talked about the types of contracts are available, how to get access into the Department of Procurement website and what's there. And I think a lot of people, when they haven't contracted with county government, at least, they're a little intimidated. And I have to give a shout out to Ash Shetty, who's taken over the Department of Procurement, because his department has done so much in terms of making it easier, making it more streamlined, and making it much more business friendly to go after a county contract. But the seminar that we did opened up my eyes to a lot of opportunities that are out there and to how to take advantage of some of these opportunities. I mean, it looks a little daunting to go to the website, but there are a tremendous amount of opportunities out there. And the Small Business Reserve Program is incredible for Montgomery County because it is a set-aside program. And there are a lot of contracting opportunities that are going wanting because our businesses are not applying to them. And so it's just a matter of going to the website, getting registered, which is now easier to do if you get registered as a certified small business. But they're out there. And, I know we can provide information and connections to that. Judy Stevenson is always available to provide connections to that. And I know Ken and Anna's organizations as well. So they're out there with the county government. We're about to do something with the state to see whether we can find some opportunities through the state as well, because there's also small business opportunities through the state. And then there are also procurement opportunities that you can find through looking at county stat. I mean, just going in and looking at who has the contracts, who could I sub for? Even some of them that are not small business reserve, that are larger organizations contracts, they have to hire subs. And so for a small business, really going in and doing some digging in that website could be a great opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
I'll add to that we participate in a task force meeting every week with the county exec's office, the chambers of small businesses. And I was amazed to hear that some of the contract opportunities, they have to pull back because people aren't applying for the procurement opportunities. So my takeaway from that is that with the procurement fair that just took place last week, and we're posting that link on our website so that everyone can go back and look at it. One of my jobs this year is to get those opportunities out to our members, because apparently they don't know that these opportunities are there. And so we got to get that information out to them and make sure they're prepared, make sure they're registered, make sure they're in good standing, make sure they have whatever certification designation they need. So that's going to be one of our efforts moving forward, to make sure our folks are ready to take advantage of these opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Ken. Hey, Anna, and now quick question for you. What are other ways, in your opinion, other ways or incentives that you believe the government should or could provide additional incentives to small businesses to recover?
You know, I love that question. I really think, and this is hard because people that want to help can only give away so much money, and people that need the money want all the money. So I think that this year there should be incentives from a tax point of view for business owners, because whatever little income they made, we shouldn't have to pay part of it out in taxes. There should be, forgiveness. Licenses should be renewed at reduced or less costs. If there is a way to reduce the cost that a business has to put out this year, I think this is the year to do it. And, maybe we can make it up in future years. But right now, I think it's really important that we just we keep businesses open, even though they may not be as successful as they want to be. Keeping them open is really important. It's not only important for our economy, it's important for our psyche. It's important for our future. My children ask why the so-and-so restaurant closed. And as much as, I'm already explaining about the coronavirus and now I have to explain the economics of it. If we can just hold on as a community and get through this, I think we'll come out better on the other side. So the government needs to look at more incentives, reduce costs, reduce expenses, and reduce taxes if possible.
And
Awesome.
consumers need to patronize the businesses that they love in the pandemic as well, because they need your business. You need, order that carry out, go in, do the street pickup, buy local now during the holidays.
Yeah.
It's really important because we have to support the businesses that we love if they're going to be here after we get through this.
Awesome. So let's do a really quick round robin as we wrap this up. So my question for each of you, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a struggling small business? Jane?
Oh my, get your house in order, look at your books, call the local chamber, because right now we will get you in as a member for whatever you can pay right now. We want to get all of our businesses through this. So join the chamber. We're here to help you.
Awesome. Ken, how about you? One piece of advice to a struggling small business.
I would go along the same lines as Jane. I would say reach out and expand your network. A lot of our small businesses are guilty of sitting in a silo and just kind of trying to do it alone. And I think whatever resources you can do, join a chamber, a networking organization, find a mentor, go to the SBDCs, whatever you can do, just get out and expand and expand your network.
Awesome. And Anna, how about you? Piece of advice.
I like to say, don't make emotional decisions. So again, get your house in order, get your thoughts straight, put together a plan that says, what if, then I will. Have a network, have a support group. It's really, really important, and support each other. I think if we all support each other, businesses, friends, people, humans, I think we'll get through this.
Awesome. Well, Anna, Jane, Ken, thank you so much for your time this morning. This has certainly been an enlightening conversation, and certainly thank you to everyone who's tuning in. On behalf of Montgomery Community Media, our partners and sponsors, we thank you for your support throughout 2020. We will see you in 2021. Be well and take charge.